Namaste and welcome to React Bits. I know it's been long, but today I'm here with awesome announcement and tutorial. The awesome announcement is that Appwrite has just released 0.10 and the new version comes with the Realtime API, the one we have been waiting for. Before we begin our tutorial, let us quickly go through what 0.10 brings in Appwrite. The first and foremost is the Realtime API, and today's tutorial is all about getting started with Appwrite's Realtime API using Flutter. Next, we have whole new web, Flutter and Android SDK that supports the Realtime. I'll talk a little bit more about Flutter SDK. We also have improved function executions time by switching to Docker API, TCP API instead of using Docker CLI. That has added 60 to 120 milliseconds performance improvement, and there are few new APIs. The users API or the server-side users API allows to update the user's password, name, email, etc. And one more, there is now a passwordless authentication method with magic URL by sending the email to the user. For this, you need to have set up SMTP service in your Appwrite setup so that you are able to send the email. And some more bug fixes and improvements here and there. So this is Appwrite 0.10. Now let us talk about the new Flutter SDK for Appwrite. This is the new Flutter SDK for Appwrite, and the first thing you notice here that Appwrite Flutter SDK is now out of beta and it is now stable. And it is one of the proud moments for me that the Flutter SDK is now completely refactored for cross-platform compatibility. So now you can see Android, iOS, macOS and web as the supported platform. Though Linux and Windows are supported, because of not being able to support OAuth at the moment, it is not displayed here as we are using Flutter Web Auth for OAuth and it does not yet support Linux and Windows. This is all about Flutter SDK refactor. By this time, if you have not already installed Appwrite, go to appwrite.io, and if you have Docker, just run this command, select the appropriate platform that you are in and run this command to install the latest version of Appwrite. It is as simple as that. If you are confused, if you run into some issues, do check out my previous tutorial on how to get started with Appwrite. Now let us talk about the Realtime Service. Go to docs and learn more Realtime. We can learn all about Realtime Service. So Realtime allows us to listen to any events on server side in real time using the subscribe method, and our client SDKs provide those subscribe method where we can pass channels and sometimes callback, or in case of Flutter we listen to the stream. And finally, the list of channels that we can subscribe to are listed here. You can learn about all of these here. We can listen to all these updates. So if we subscribe to, let's say, collections channel, we will be notified about any CRUD operations on the collections. If you create a new collection, if you delete a collection, or if you update the collection. And the best thing about this is that the Realtime service uses the same permissions that we define on our Appwrite instance, or that we have been using so far, so that any updates received by the user are only updates that they are permitted to view. That means they require a read permission to get these events. So this is the basic intro of Realtime Service. Now we will start by creating a new Flutter project. So let us create new Flutter project. I will call this Appwrite Realtime. Let me open this in Visual Studio Code. Yes, I trust this. So we have our main.dart. First, let us add the Appwrite dependency. So extension for VS Code now supports adding dependency. So I can add dependency from here, command panel in VS Code, add dependency, Appwrite, or you can simply add the Appwrite dependency under dependencies, the version 1.0.0. Now we have the dependency. Let us create a Appwrite project. Let us go to our installed Appwrite instance. You need to have your own installed Appwrite instance in order to work. Let's create. I'll create a new project called Appwrite Realtime. So let me add a new platform. I'm running on Linux, so I'll add Linux platform. Register. I've registered my Linux platform, and then we will create a simple collection that we can listen to the updates to. So here I'll name it items collection create. Let's add a rule. Just add item name field text create, and this will be required. And for permissions, we will make role member so that only registered users can create or update documents on this collection. So let us update. We now have our collection. Now that we have our collection, let us copy this collection ID and let us add this here because we will need this to make our request. So const collection ID equals this. We also need our project ID and endpoint. So from project settings, I'll get project ID and then endpoint. Okay, now I have everything. I can remove these comments. Let us remove these things from our home page. Let us just remove the default counter and scaffold body. Let's keep the app bar. Let's remove the body, everything in the body, and let us just add list view children, empty children, and in onPressed let us create a new function. Okay, tooltip, add item. Now let us remove these. We don't need a browser now. And in our home page state, let us set up few things. So list map string dynamic items equals empty list. Then let us set up our client database, and then let us start our init state function. In the init state function, first we'll set up client endpoint, and then set endpoint set project ID. Okay, we set up our endpoint and project ID. Then database will be database client. Let us add a function for login because we added the permission only registered user can add or remove documents in the collection. Let us log in our user or create a session using anonymous session, so that user won't have to provide anything. We can just continue. So I'll create a login method. I'll make this async. Try count client. So create anonymous session. We don't need anything. On Appwrite exception, catch exception, print message. So we have our login function. So in init state, let us call login, so that user will log in. And then we will also call load items after login is successful. So after login is successful, we will load initial list of items. Let us call this function and let us write this function, load items async. And here we'll try list documents. We pass our collection ID, and maybe we can set the limit at most 100, so we can load all 100, at least 100 data at first, and then if any data is loaded, set state items equals list dynamic from rest data documents, and on Appwrite exception, catch and print the exception message if we have any exception. Now that we have login and load items, let us display the list of items in our list view. So in our list view, in our list view, inside children, let us map item, and here we will return the style, title text, item name. So we want to display the name, and in trailing I want to display icon button to delete. Icons.delete, and on pressed await database.delete document collection ID items ID. Document ID will be item ID. Okay, so we have a function to delete document. Let us add here on, while tapping plus, let us add new document, add item function, and let us write our add item function. Database.create document, collection ID is our collection ID, and our data will be a map where we need to pass name, new item, and then we need here we need read permission, that will be an array, roll member, write permission, roll member. Let's add on Appwrite exception, print message. Okay, we don't want same new item all the time because we want to see it added in real time. Let us add a random here. Max, let's say 500. Let's just concatenate to this to string. Okay, so this will be new item and a random number. This will add new item. Okay, now let us run it first without real time. Let us see if we are able to load list of items. First time it will load empty because our database has no items. Okay, it's empty, working. Let me make this smaller. Let me add. There is no error. Let me hot restart and let's see if there is any items. Cannot create anonymous when logged in. Okay. From next time, I can just call load items here because we are already logged in. So I can just hot restart. So we have added new item. If I add again, it will not display. But if I hot reload, I can see 2 items. Now, let us add the real-time service. So for that, I will create a subscribe method. And here, I'll create a real-time service. Real-time, we need to pass the client instance. And then, let's create a variable to hold our subscription. Let me hide this. Real-time subscription. Let me make it optional or nullable. And here, subscription equals realtime.subscribe. We want to listen to the changes in any documents in the collection. So here the channels will be for us collections dot our collection ID dot document. So any changes to the documents in this collection, we want to listen to those changes. Now this subscription will give us a stream that we can listen to. Subscription, here we know it's not null. Stream dot listen, and while listening it gives us a load back payload. So let us check if data.payload is not empty. So if payload is not empty, then we need to handle different case like documents creation, deletion, update, etc. Right? So switch data.event. So we get the event as event case. So if this is a creation event, then we need to add new item. So we just need items.add data.payload. So this payload will be the actual item. And then set state, I can simply run set state and break. Another case will for us be delete, because we are allowing to create and delete. We'll only handle these cases. We are not updating any items. So items.remove where item $id is equal payload $id. So if these both are equal, then we want to remove item. Set state break, default, you don't want to do anything, so break. Now let me save, and in init state let us also call subscribe and hot restart. Let's see if debug console has any error. Okay, we are missing something. Here we are missing semicolon. Now I can hot restart. Okay, it's working. And we can see that subscription to this URL has been active. Now I can add new item. See, it's immediately added here. I can add as many items as I like, and we are listening to real-time events, and items get added here. And if I delete any item, it's gone. This is as simple as that. So we create a subscription, and finally on dispose, in dispose method we want to close the subscription so that we do not leak any memory. Subscription close. So if subscription is not null, we just want to call the close function so that it will close the subscription. See, any items we add, it will be added. Any items we delete, it will be deleted. We can even do this if we go here directly in the database collections. We can see the list of items. If I add new item here, let's say added from console and role member, and if I create, see, it's listed here. So this is as simple as it is to get started with real time in Appwrite using Flutter. You can subscribe to any of the events mentioned in the docs. Read more on the docs, and more tutorials will be coming soon regarding Flutter and Appwrite. Thank you all for being here. If you have not already subscribed, do subscribe, and also provide feedback about tutorials so that I can make more awesome tutorials for you. Thank you. Bye bye and see you.